Hello, hello. I just did this whole video and it cut me off, and I didn't want to end it like that, so I'm doing it again. So these are the 2x2 Jeb full target block doors. And what I mean by full target block doors is that they can be opened and closed with any of the target blocks. This one right here is a compact one that uses bells as a rising edge monostable for the targets, but also then you have bells. I'm going to show you how to do a lamp one, which is slightly more complicated, needs an extra T flip-flop. Yeah, you want to start with the basic Jeb design, except you want to add lamps and observers in those places. Those lamps will basically represent all the positions of all the target blocks. So now we need to set up an any gate, so that if any of these observers trigger, then they will activate the entire system. Those blocks on the front of observers, are important to keep it Jeb, because the whole point of a Jeb door is to be built into a wall. I'm not sure if it's full Jeb or if it's, I don't know. The two observers are sticking out, so but it is flush with the wall. There's just exposed observers. Anyways, you want to connect both of these any gates to a glass tower that I messed up that I have to fix at the end. And you can see I have a little bit of a building stroke when I'm trying to assemble this glass tower. My brain is just melting at this point about how to connect them, and I'm just like, oh yeah, I could just do that. So now we have a glass tower, and now we need to connect a T flip-flop to the wrong place, and then correct it with the right place. One of those glass blocks has to move at the end, so if you're building this with me, wait till the end so you can see the movement. The only part that has to be glass is the part that does the zigzag. Yeah. Or it can be any non-trans, or just any transparent. Yeah. So now, you know how I said wrong place? Because that's not where I ended up putting the T flip-flop. Not a very organized tutorial, but it's okay. It's okay. I don't do block for block tutorials very often. I'm not that used to it. So I end up moving the T flip-flop there. I'm just using a basic hopper T flip-flop because they're fast and yeah, decently reliable if you have the right pulse length. So then we need to take the output of this T flip-flop into a rising edge monostable, which I again mess up by putting the bell on the wrong block. This rising edge monostable makes sure we keep the correct length for the second T flip-flop, because that first T flip-flop is going to act like a 2 pulse to 1 pulse converter. Yeah, that's basically what it'll be. So yes, we have an observer observing the bell, and observer observing the observer. And then a torch attached to that, and then attached to another hopper T flip-flop, which we will connect to a torch tower, but from the other direction, because I realized I probably wouldn't have space that way. So you want to go up a few with the torch tower, just so that we can get to one below the floor level, if that makes sense to you. Since this is a Jeb door, we can't power those pistons from behind using the way we power the side pistons, so we need to power it from the top and bottom through the floor and roof. We do that by placing torches like that to power the blocks above them, and then we power the blocks the torches are attached to, turn them on and off. Very simple stuff. Just me grabbing a repeater. Put those repeaters facing into those blocks to force the signal that way. You don't need any delay here. And then you need to place a block on that last torch to power it. Don't worry about those pistons being powered yet. It'll all fix itself at the very end when you set all your T flip-flops. So, basically we need to get the roof in so that we can power those pistons, and we need to put the diagonal blocks there so we don't get cross-signaling. You can see me again struggling with deciding how to place my glass tower. Again, the glass can be any transparent material, like leaves if you wanted to, if you have a lot of leaves. Slabs even, except slabs don't go down. I think they only go up. Although I'm not a Java person, I'm a bedrock man, so I've just always used glass. There you go, so now we have the floor and the roof connected, but they're not in sync, so we need to invert one of these signals. I choose to invert the top one because it seemed the easiest. There you go, signal inverted. Now the both pistons on top and bottom are in sync. Beautiful. Now we need to attach a line that will activate the sides. And you can see I again struggle with this because I put the arm one too low. But that's okay. It only takes me a few 10 seconds to figure it out. This thing is so frustrating. Like last night I had a design that worked perfectly, and then I woke up and I tried it and it just didn't work. I don't know why. That's why I had to add the rising edge monostable to this one. This is me checking. Yeah. That was me checking on how I did it before, and that's how I found out that I put the arm too low. But again, that's a-okay. Let's get rid of those corners to help me realize which blocks are being powered and which ones aren't. There we go. I figure it out eventually. And so now we need to put a glass block there, a non-transparent, it's important, or a non-powerable. That's important so we don't activate the lamps, restarting our whole system. Actually, I mean, it wouldn't really matter anyways because we're putting a repeater there. I just realized that, but put the repeater on 4 ticks. I think you can get away with 3, but 4 is the most reliable. Yeah. Do the same thing on the other side, except the other side doesn't have an arm, so you don't gotta do anything weird there. And then connect it the same way, with the blocks on the bottom half with the dust running over top. Beautiful. Okay. So, now you need to add an item to all your hopper T flip-flops. Doesn't have to be a non-stackable. I set it up in a way you can put any item you want in there. And yes, I try it, and it doesn't work. And then I realize that I have just a few blocks out of place. There you go. So now it's open, technically. And so right now, none of them are paused, none of them open it, because of the 2 mistakes I made. I'm looking around, I noticed that line's powered and it shouldn't be, it's because it's being powered by that torch. That's the block I was talking about before. That just simply needs to be moved like that, and it'll work just the same. So now, I fixed the bottom half, it'll open with the bottom half. Still confused though, because the top half is broken, because I forgot to place a single thing of dust on the glass tower. So you can see me fiddling around with it, getting really confused how it works only half the time. Because at this point, I hadn't figured out that only half of it was working. I thought it was like conditional working, and not half the target blocks working, if that makes sense. But yeah, so you can see me just throwing snowballs at it, just trying to figure out what's going on. Having that empty glass block just stare me in the face like it's no one's business. Well, yeah, if you don't want to watch me do all this and you've been doing the tutorial, yeah, you just place 1 dust on that glass block, and then place the tunnel that goes through it to represent the door, and then place the wall, so that it's flush. The only exposed redstone is the pistons when it's open, and the observer when it's closed. Actually, well, the observer when it's open and closed, but only the pistons when it's closed. Yeah, hope that makes sense. And before you say anything, it works perfectly fine with the tunnel through it. I did that while I was waiting for this video to download. So yeah. I don't even know if I figured out that I had to place the dust yet or not. I don't think you've seen this thing work properly yet. Come on. It's staring you right in the face. It's right there. I think at this point I've determined that it was the... There you go. So now it works perfectly. And that's the end of the video. I'll see you guys on the flip side. Hope you guys learned a lot from this tutorial.